So after a fun day at Birdsville, playing around on the dunes, we head off down the Birdsville track, and there's quite a bit of nothingness out here as well. This tree actually stood out from a distance, so I thought that was video worthy. And after that, just a lot of nothing. But when something does pop up, you do tend to stop and have a look at it and video it. So the next couple of sections are little bits and pieces of things that we came across, fenced in enclosure, amazingly water over the track, and which is obviously the remnants of the water that had come down through the channel country and surrounded Birdsville. And then we got to our overnight camp area, so I'll pick the story up there. So there was a few hours of this, and then we stopped to look for a campsite, and Steve moseyed off the side of the track to go and have a look at some trees for a possible camp area. And the Africa Twin decided it was going to check and make sure that gravity was still working in this part of the world, and Steve actually had his foot stuck under it. He remounted and we headed off, and this is where we eventually camped. And no sooner did we get back on our bikes and follow him than Chris 2's Africa Twin decided that it was going to test gravity and make sure it was working a few metres further north. So I think maybe for the 7th or 8th or 9th time of the trip, I gave Chris a hand to lift his bike up.
Soft shit. Hell, she's soft. Silty crap. All good.
So we gassed up and left Marie heading out towards Lake Eyre, and on the way out of town there's a possibility that I may have overshot the turnoff and not paid attention to the signs, and ended up last out of the bunch of us to turn onto the correct track. So I waited for 5 minutes and let the dust settle, and then took off out towards the lake. I'd been told it was a reasonably rough road, curvy, but you know, it actually turned out to be one of the roads that I did enjoy. Probably second only to the scenic drive in the Flinders. So I gave the 790 its head and let it sit at the speed it felt comfortable sitting at on those tracks. So yeah, blasted out there. It was a combination of nice sandy tracks and clay tracks, not too many ruts and stuff in there to upset you, and you know, a little bit of changing scenery and a little bit of change of direction and a little bit of a rise and fall. So I've got to say I really enjoyed this particular road, and for a change we were sort of going with the wind, which was nice as well. So I'll just let you watch the end of this one until I catch up to someone and slow down when I get into their dust. So yeah, I like this one. So we went and had a look at the flats where a few days earlier the wind that we'd been basically battling with for the whole week had blown all the water away. So there wasn't actually any water to see in the lake, although you can see that it had been wet there recently. And Chris had already gone back earlier, so Steve and I rode back together. This track was a mixture of rusty tracks, bit of sandy, you know, corrugations and stuff. The guys in the 4-wheel drive said that they'd taken 2.5 hours to get out there and back, and yeah, we definitely didn't take very long to eat up these bits of the road. So I told Steve I'd video him on the Africa Twin, and you can see just how easily the Africa Twins eat up these conditions. You know, they're very stable, very comfortable. The 790 is a little bit more nervous through here. I did find out later that my steering head bearings were actually a little loose, which probably didn't help. But yeah, Steve stayed on his side of the track and I stayed on my side and tried to get some video for him, because he's usually on his own out the front navigating. I'm usually down the back, and with the wind the direction it is, we could ride together pretty comfortably here, and yeah, moving along at a good pace and having a bit of fun. So after this, we basically headed back to camp, picked up a bunch of firewood, had a good night, and made our way down to the Flinders. So I'll just give you a little teaser of the vast difference between riding out where we were and riding in the Flinders. This is Moralana Scenic Drive heading in, which is one of my favourite bits of road down the Flinders. As you can see, it's just much more varied, much more interesting. There's a lot more scenery going on, more trees, more mountains, you know, just more of everything. So this is us basically heading in from the highway on the Parachilna side, heading over towards the inner road, and at the end of this inner road we turn left and go up to Rawnsley Park, where we stayed for a couple of nights. So I'll make another video of that, and yeah, this just gives you an idea of the difference in the Flinders and why we like it so much, and didn't mind tacking it on to this year's trip when our Simpson Desert support vehicle couldn't make it for us to do that trip. So yeah, enjoy this a little bit, and I'll do the Flinders on the final one. Cheers.